The names are coming out.
I can tell you that the number one problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
They've been saying it for years, and nobody listened.
I can name 6 names. One of them who's still very powerful today.
But now, for the very first time, Elijah Wood is no longer silent. He's standing right beside him. And together, they're calling people out. Not whispers, direct accusations. Pointing straight at names still walking red carpets, still controlling major studios, still shaking hands with the most powerful figures
in the world.
They're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are.
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Here's what no one is connecting yet. 2 names you'd never expect to hear in the same breath. But together, they might completely change the conversation around Hollywood's darkest secrets. Elijah Wood, the innocent face from The Lord of the Rings, the kid next door energy, the hero millions grew up watching save Middle-earth. And then Corey Feldman, a man who spent over 3 decades shouting into a system that seemed determined to drown him out. For years, the noise got louder, but his message never did. And now, according to multiple sources close to both sides, these 2 are no longer separate voices. They're connecting, sharing information, quietly building something bigger, a case. And the names they're circling, names allegedly tied to Jeffrey Epstein's network, are the kind that could stop you in your tracks. So let's rewind, because context changes everything. Elijah Wood was just 8 years old when he stepped into Hollywood. 8. And in a rare, unfiltered interview with the Sunday Times, he said something the industry seemed to bury overnight. He claimed Hollywood has a dark underbelly, one involving child abuse. And more disturbing, that those responsible aren't just hidden, they're being protected, shielded by the same powerful institutions that control the entire
that run the industry.
There are a lot of vipers in this industry, people who only have their own interests in mind. Wood compared the unnamed abusers to the British DJ Jimmy Savile, who faced dozens of accusations of rape and assault spanning more than 4 decades. Those claims were largely swept under the rug until after Savile's death.
Think about what that
Vipers.
compares.
That's the word he used. Not predators, not bad people. Vipers. Cold, patient, calculating, hiding in plain sight. And then he made a chilling comparison to Jimmy Savile, a man who spent decades in power while accusations were ignored or covered up. Elijah Wood wasn't just speaking randomly. He was pointing to a system, one where truth gets buried and power protects its own. Because the truth about Jimmy Savile only came out after he was gone, when justice was no longer possible. A warning that history could be repeating itself. And here's the unsettling part. Corey Feldman has been saying this since 1993, not for attention, but as someone who claims his childhood was destroyed and his voice ignored for decades.
Talk about it.
It was one of the most heinous, horrendous, horrible receptions of a cry for help that I've ever seen in my life, and Hollywood should be ashamed of it.
Hollywood should be ashamed. He said it, clearly, unapologetically. And then, something even more shocking happened. Barbara Walters, one of the most powerful voices in American media, sat across from him on national television, and instead of listening, she pushed back. She told him he was damaging the industry just for speaking out.
I'm saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there.
And Barbara Walters' message was clear. Stop. Don't say more. Think about what you're doing. Let that sink in. A survivor sits there trying to speak about abuse that began when he was just 11 years old, and one of the most iconic journalists in history turns it around, making it seem like he is the problem.
Be careful what you wish for. That's what I'll tell you. You know, don't go into it with naivety. Don't go into it thinking that it's all roses and sunglasses.
You're damaging an entire industry.
That's not journalism. That's control. And it goes beyond Barbara Walters. Because when you follow the pattern, who silences victims, who controls the story, the same kind of powerful names keep showing up, some even linked to Jeffrey Epstein. This is where Elijah Wood fits in. He's not talking about one person, he's pointing to a system, a network, hidden behind fame, trust, and power. And Corey Feldman has been saying this for decades, calling them handlers, a protected circle still active today. That's what Vipers really means.
Was with him.
When Katie met Harvey, she met Harvey with Oprah. She talks about the fact that if Oprah's with Harvey, then why should I worry about it? I mean, Oprah is like the world's mom.
The world's mom image. That's how a handler works. You become the symbol of safety, trust, empowerment, and that image becomes a door that gives access to people who would never trust what's behind it. And when links between Sarah Ferguson and Jeffrey Epstein came out, financial ties, emails, she was still given a platform. Soft questions, friendly tone, no pressure, no real
no
challenge.
discomfort.
Hello? Sarah! Hi, Oprah! Hey, I'm calling to welcome you to the United States.
That warmth,
that camera-ready charm. It had a purpose. Feldman is now connecting those dots, echoing exactly what Elijah Wood has been saying. The Vipers aren't just the men in the rooms. They're everyone who made those rooms feel safe enough for victims to walk in. And here's where it gets darker. Oprah Winfrey's Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, meant to uplift vulnerable young women, faced reports of abuse, mistreatment, missing students, and limited parental access. Her name is attached because it operated under her leadership. Was it connected to Jeffrey Epstein? That question has never been fully answered, and that silence is part of the story itself.
Part of the story.
Every time somebody tries to bring up a public name and they have a lot of money and power and a publicity machine behind them, the person who does the accusing is the one that ends up looking bad.
That's
that warmth, that camera-ready charm. It had a purpose. Feldman is now connecting those dots, echoing exactly what Elijah Wood has been saying. The Vipers aren't just the men in the rooms. They're everyone who made those rooms feel safe enough for victims to walk in. And here's where it gets darker. Oprah Winfrey's Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, meant to uplift vulnerable young women, faced reports of abuse, mistreatment, missing students, and limited parental access. Her name is attached because it operated under her leadership. Was it connected to Jeffrey Epstein? That question has never been fully answered, and that silence is part of the story itself.